Documented to prevent and even cure liberalism, and listening may cause you to lean to the right. Here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, that is right. You are listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff, just watching here in the studio. Crowds of Biden supporters in Wilmington, Delaware last night when he gave his acceptance speech. Oz even asked, can the cars, she noted that the cars are being socially distanced. I mean, they take every precaution imaginable. People wearing masks in their cars while being separated from people by 20 feet or whatever it is. Anyway, I'm kind of tired of some of the shenanigans. But anyway, good to be here. Thank you for joining us. Email, should you want to email me your thoughts, questions, opinions. Your adoration and praise will also be accepted. Kidding, but not kidding. Todd@ToddHuffShow.com. You can follow us on Facebook, where we stream hour number 1. And as soon as I get a few things done, some technology taken care of, we have everything in place. It's just there's a mountain of stuff that we're trying to get systemized and, just so that we can put a couple things on autopilot. But we've got one of those things will allow us to stream to multiple social channels at the same time. So both hours will at least temporarily be on YouTube and Facebook, but hour 1 is currently on Facebook, and you can follow us there. And I ask that you do that. Helps us reach more people. It gets our information to you quicker, and you're more likely to see it and all that sort of stuff. But that's Facebook.com/Todd Huff Show. So last night was Biden's big moment. They're really building this thing up. He's just knocked this thing out of the park. If you listen to the left. In fact, I just got something from the New York Times here. New York Times, dated today, written by Lisa Lehrer, and the headline here, on politics, Biden's big moment. Biden's big moment. I just want to read a tiny, tiny sliver of this. When Joe Biden spoke at the Democratic National Convention in 1980, delegates from Delaware stood holding a banner, Biden in 84. I wonder if Biden ran in 84, if he was the nominee, if this stuff would be over. Probably not. That was an eternity ago in politics. I continue with the article here. Since then, Mr. Biden has been to 9 conventions and made the case for 7 Democratic nominees. I love how they talk about this. This is some accomplishment. You know who gets invited to conventions, folks? If you look back at who was on I keep wanting to say stage, who was on the screen over the past 4 nights, who was it? It was politicians. It was a couple of celebrities, some radical leftist celebrities. Billie Eilish was on there. I saw Common last night. He and John Legend were performing a song, and other folks. I mean, these are the ones that come to mind as I'm telling you about this, but that's who does conventions. So when someone says Biden's been to 9 conventions and made the case for 7 Democratic nominees, he's actually been in D.C. for a long time. They've spun this to be a good thing. Remember, Trump in 2016 was the outsider candidate. He positioned it quite well strategically. The marketing and the positioning were brilliant. When there were 17 nominees Republicans running for the nomination in the Republican Party, Trump basically presented it as, there's 16 politicians and then me. I'm the outsider. I'm not part of the swamp. In fact, I want to drain the swamp. In fact, I want to return power to the American people. These folks have been in D.C. a lifetime, and I mean, it worked well because you know what? It resonates with people. It resonates with people. People are sick and tired of seeing politicians who've been in D.C. their entire lives, and then they go back to their constituents, whoever that might be. In Biden's case, it was the citizens of the state of Delaware for decades. Then he was our vice president for 8 years. And of course, vice president's a peculiar job. Now that you are vice president, if you're basically tagging on to someone else's ticket. So you're on the ticket, but people are really voting for the person at the top. So you're an elected official, but you're really the teammate of the guy or the girl who's been elected is really how that works out. But anyway, that's his. They go back to their constituents every year, every 4 years, every whatever it is. Representatives go back every 2 years, senators every 6 years, and they campaign for the things that they didn't do anything about the previous term. Their number one desire is to stay in power. Their number one desire is to not lose their seat. The number one desire is to become kind of a lifetime. This is for most of them, a good chunk of them, a lifetime fixture in the Senate. I watched, again, a couple of nights ago, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter talked about Biden being the guy that effectively was the first Democrat to kind of, become his, they kind of teamed up, I guess. He says that Biden was the first guy to really, step up and be a supporter of Jimmy Carter or some such thing. And folks, that was in 1976. How many people are going to be casting ballots this year that never even really believed 1976 was something that happened in reality? They weren't alive. Heck, I wasn't born in 76. Close to that point, but I wasn't alive yet. And how many voters casting ballots this year? Does that even relate to? But this is presented as some great accomplishment. And Biden was there 4 years before Jimmy Carter stepped onto the national scene back in 1972. And they write about this as though it's some great accomplishment. But I go back to this. Here it is. Last night, Lisa Lara writes, it was finally Mr. Biden's moment. And he seized it. Now, folks, I watched this thing. I watched pretty much wire to wire, the main primetime stuff. And I committed hours of my life. In fact, I've postulated on this program that I should have received hazard pay for what I subjected myself to willingly. I might add, it was willingly done. It was done for you, the listener, so that we could talk about this, so that you wouldn't have to watch this stuff. Feel like you had to wash your eyes and wash your ears out after some of this. I could just summarize for you what I'd heard, which of course was mostly emotion and feeling. There's no substance in these things. We've established that. In fact, last hour I shared with you a question my 6-year-old daughter asked. Innocently, she was catching a few minutes of the commentary by the ABC news commentators prior to the convention starting last night, and she said, "Daddy, is this real?" And I said last hour that basically I thought that was a profound question. She didn't mean it that way. But I said in one sense, yes, this absolutely, unfortunately, in a very terrifying sense, is real. This is a real thing. People really get behind this movement in spite of any real ideas. It's fueled by anger and emotion and rage in many examples. I'm not saying there's no, that there's no one who embraces the ideas that are espoused by the party, but that's not at all what this thing was about last night. This was about stirring up hatred for Donald Trump and telling us that Biden was just a good old guy that deserves to be president because he's not Trump, and he's nice, and he's decent, and he takes calls from his granddaughters, apparently, even if he's out making speeches from the stage during the speech. My 11-year-old son wouldn't even buy this. Anyway, that's what we're told. That's the painted the picture. But on the other hand, when I told my 6-year-old daughter, yes, it is real, hun, but on another sense and on another level, no, nothing that you hear or see is real. So we talked more about that last hour. But so now they're past that. They're past this political high point. So now the spin begins, as I'm reading here from Lisa Lara's perspective. And, does she really believe this? I don't even know anymore. Have they fooled themselves into believing this? Have they set the bar so low for Biden that anything that comes out of his mouth that doesn't completely humiliate the party is somehow Does that somehow make it look like a success? I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, she continues here. The unconventional convention gave him an opportunity to deliver a different kind of speech that the typical nominees address, or than the typical nominees address, and he made a direct to-camera appeal that was more intimate than he could have delivered in a large convention hall. So this worked out perfectly for Biden. I don't know what they were watching. I don't know what they were watching. If the point is, if the argument is Biden didn't say something, for example, refer to the Declaration of Independence as, the thing. Remember that soundbite from Biden? I mean, if that's the expectation, then I guess he succeeded. Well, here, I'll even play this. There weren't things like this last night. Now, there have been things like this throughout the campaign. Lots of things like this throughout the campaign, and there will be more. And they know that. And that's why they want to get out in front of this thing. But this is just an example. We didn't see this last night, but we will see it soon. Here's Biden telling a bunch of followers that they know the thing.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Yeah, you know the thing. I found this ironic. Actually, the convention was taking parts of the preamble of the Constitution, which of course is not the same document as the Declaration, but I just found it funny. Behind me, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see, if I scoot over this way, you see over my right shoulder, you can see copies. They're not real. If some radical leftist is watching this morning, I'm just playing, kidding, just having some fun. Those aren't the real Constitution and the Declaration, but they're copies. They're copies. My brother and his wife got those for me for Christmas, I think, several years ago, and they're behind me. Those documents matter. So Biden's quoting one of those things back there, as he would say. You know the thing, the Declaration. So the other thing back there, the Constitution, has a thing called the preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice. You know the thing, as Biden would say. I just find it interesting that they make the whole convention kind of centered around phrases, we the people, our democracy, as they would say. We have a constitutional republic, but nonetheless, they want people to believe that we're in a society that's a pure democracy, so that when they make I think this is a part of it anyway, so that when we make the shift, or when they try to push us towards democratic socialism, they can say, look, this is actually following what our founders wanted. They're preparing themselves at least to be able to make that argument if they want. The other option is to say that they were evil, terrible human beings who did nothing right because they were wrong, which they were terribly wrong on the issue of slavery. They want to say that none of their other ideas were good and wholesome and right, but that's completely false. So those are the two arguments they're preparing to make either way. Either we have to throw it out because it's like the fruit of the poisonous tree, since they basically permitted the evils of slavery. Nothing else they did can be, constituted as good. Or if they can't make that argument, they're prepared to say we're a democracy. So now that the majority of people want to institute socialism, this was actually something the founders wanted us to be able to do if we wanted. So if a majority of people say that it's okay to steal money from someone to pay for something else that they want, that's apparently a cool thing to do. But that's not how the founders, a constitutional republic defends the rights of the individuals, even if the majority says that that's not, they're not going to respect the rights of the individual. That's an important difference. That's why one of the reasons why we have said system of government. Anyway, so where do we go? Where do the Democrats go from here? I want to talk about that. So they've gotten through their convention. This is at their political high point. They've had the stage. They've been front and center. They've brought out all the big guns, right? All the big guns, Barack and Michelle Obama, my cousin Liz, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. I don't want to go through the list of names, but all the folks that failed at the nomination. All of them except Tulsi Gabbard, which, this is a fair question. How can we have someone who actually was awarded delegates, someone who won delegates, the fundamental point of the convention, there's a promotional component, which of course is to rally the troops and to, fire people up to vote for the person who's going to be the nominee. But there's another component that's like the legal or the technical component, which is you award the delegates and officially make a candidate your nominee. And normally you invite anyone that's won delegates to at least have the opportunity to speak. Tulsi Gabbard won delegates, but she's been completely blocked out. She wasn't allowed to be partake in this, to participate in this. I even saw it on Twitter. And I found myself wondering, how can a party who constantly lectures us and reminds us that Kamala Harris will be the first female person of color to be vice president, should Biden win, God forbid, how can that party that constantly, that's the theme of their party is identity politics. That is, in fact, Build Back Better should just be replaced by, some version of identity politics, some version of I'm with her sort of thing, Hillary back in 2016. So, how can you be that party and not invite a woman of color to at least speak for 60 seconds? They let AOC speak for 96 seconds. 95 and a half seconds too long in my estimation. But anyway, where's the outrage over this? Anyway, but where do we go from here? Where do the Democrats go from here? What do they do from here? What does this look like? Trump's going to be out there next week, and they better be prepared to get some some pushback and some response to what he witnessed this week. He's like a thoroughbred in the starting blocks, in the starting gate. He's ready to come out rearing next week, and it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be a lot different, I think. There's still realities with how these things work because of the social distancing and all that stuff. But compared to what we've got, what we saw this week, I think it's going to be a dramatic difference. So we'll talk about that. See where we go from here as this campaign shapes up. You're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I am your host, Todd Huff. Great decision, by the way, to tune in. Be back in just a minute.
Looking to make a conservative, not bitter fashion statement? Check out our apparel online, including brand new items at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $200
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freege, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freege, F-R-E-I-J-E, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freege, owner and lead auctioneer at Freege & Freege Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
Business leaders, are your employees satisfied with their jobs? Do they enjoy coming to work and feel valued? Workforce Chaplains can help. Locally owned, we work with organizations to provide holistic care to their employees. I'm Marcus Schrader, president of Workforce Chaplains, and we offer your team a 24/7 support system that positively affects your company's culture and productivity. With our personalized pricing and diverse support system, we handle the issues that you wish you had time for. To learn more, visit us at workforcechaplains.com.
Seems like just yesterday that you couldn't find a quiet place to think in your home. Now all the kids have flown the nest and you find yourself wondering what to do with all of that extra space. This is Bruce of Bruce Richardson Realty. My team and I understand that life changes, and so do your home needs. So whether you're downsizing or upsizing, give us a call at 317-507-3285. Let us help you find the best fit for your residential or your commercial property needs. 317-507-3285.
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC.
Indy Decorative Concrete is hiring immediately. They're looking for workers with experience finishing concrete. Pay is $25 to $30 per hour with weekly overtime. All jobs are located within the city of Indianapolis. Call 317-784-1464 or apply in person at their offices located at 8366 Brookville Road, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46239. They're open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, visit their website, www.indydecorativeconcrete.com. www.indydecorativeconcrete.com.
If you own a rental property, you know the hassles of marketing, renting, collecting, and the handling of maintenance and repairs. One call to Zuluscape can put an end to your property management headaches. Zuluscape has over 20 years of experience helping landlords throughout central Indiana and taking the stress out of owning a rental. From A to Z, let Zuluscape handle it all so you can enjoy owning a rental instead of hating being a landlord. Give us a call at 317-663-8485 or visit our website at Zuluscape.com.
Welcome back. So where do the Democrats go from here? In fact, you can make the case, where did they take us this week? Because ratings had fallen pretty substantially over this convention week as compared to previous conventions. I'm looking here at something at thedailywire.com. DNC ratings bomb, quote, jumped off a ratings cliff. So the first night, Monday, the DNC was down about 25% from the equivalent night in 2016. That's the first night. The second night, Tuesday, it dropped 48%. 48% of the people, 48% fewer people watched than watched on Tuesday of 2016. Think about that. 48%. Now, I don't know what this translates into votes, but I do know what this translates into the world of political energy. There is none. Tuesday night, and I think that was the night Michelle Obama spoke. Folks, so 6.13 million viewers on broadcast television, so networks ABC, CBS, and NBC. That's how many people watched on broadcast television. Now, maybe there's other explanations. I don't know. When you include cable news, MSNBC, CNN, and Fox, it still showed a 27% overall drop from 4 years ago. The point is that this convention didn't get in front of a lot of people. I'm going to venture to say the people that watched were either political junkies or people that just like to watch these things, as that would be me. I was trying to just communicate to you what I knew you weren't watching, and my instincts would be right because only 6 million people watched on network news. Well, let's even throw that one out. Let's just look at even including the cable news networks. 18.6 million people watched, which is still a 27% drop. 18 or 19 million in a country of 330 million. Right? I mean, in an era when we're supposed to believe that Trump is one step away from declaring himself the lifetime benevolent dictator of the United States of America. That's what we're supposed to believe. We're seconds away from that happening. That's what they want you to believe. But where do they go from here? Again, this is the high point. In fact, I'm looking at something else from the Daily Wire during the break. You may have seen this. You probably didn't because most people didn't watch. But there was on one of the nights, there was a presentation a segment, a discussion, I guess. I don't know if that's just they're talking about Trump and illegal immigration. And specifically, there was a young 11-year-old girl named, I believe, Estella Juarez. Her mother's Alejandra Juarez, and she was deported from this nation. Now, the headline here in the Daily Wire says DNC used deported woman to attack Trump. She was deported under Clinton, flagged under Obama. So the woman who was deported had already been deported by Bill Clinton. She snuck first into the United States, supposedly in 1998. The Washington Times reported she was caught at the border and deported back to Mexico. She quickly sneaked back in to the United States, which is a felony, and remained in the shadows, it says here, until a traffic stop in 2013 when she appeared on the radar of U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Experts said an Obama-era initiative expanding the use of local police fingerprint checks to aid deportations likely flagged Mrs. Juarez for ICE. So an Obama policy got her flagged. At that point, the Obama Homeland Security had a choice. It could have shown leniency, but instead reinstated her deportation order from 1998, putting her on the path to deportation that the Trump Homeland Security Department carried out in 2018. This whole thing. I mean, my point is, they're at their high point. They can play these things. I'll play a snippet of this. I'll play just a little bit of the presentation of the video that they put together. And I'm not comfortable. I've got an 11-year-old. I'm not comfortable with this, but they're the ones that are taking advantage of this young lady. They're the ones, hold on here. They're the ones who are politicizing, trying to tap into people's emotional heartstrings. You're thinking, why would you separate, take this girl's mother from her? I mean, listen to this.
Tell me when I should start reading.
This is her,
Dear Donald Trump,
the 11-year-old Estella.
My name is Estella. I am 11 years old. My mom is my best friend. She came to America as a teenager over 20 years ago without papers in search of a better life.
Without papers.
She married my dad, who served our country as a Marine in South America, Africa, and Iraq. My mom worked hard and paid taxes, and the Obama administration told her she could stay. My dad thought you would protect military families, so he voted for you in 2016, Mr. President. He says he won't vote for you again after what you did to our family.
The wife of a U.S. Marine veteran was
playing a video
Mexico.
clip.
Instead of protecting us, you tore our world apart.
My mom is a good person, and she's not a criminal.
So, I mean, this was the video. And now we find out, through some little bit of digging by the Washington Times, that she was deported under Clinton. She was flagged again under Obama, and the Trump administration carried out, what she was flagged for, which is that she was supposed to be deported. Now, of course, it's terrible that this family is not together, but I mean, look, folks, this is the law. I mean, you can say, maybe they should have been lenient. That's a whole nother discussion. But the idea that Trump, this is the law. This is what the law says. You know who can change the law? Newsflash to people in our United States Congress. They can. They don't like this. They can change it. But you can't really blame a president for enforcing a law that's on the books when we have a massive problem, people that are exploiting this. They have been for a long time. It affects Americans in a lot of ways. These are human beings, of course, that are crossing. I understand why they want to be here, but it is illegal. You can't simply cross into another nation because you want to be there. There is a process. Everybody in the world wants to be here, which again, if you look at the way the Democrats want to talk about America, you would think no one would want to be here. It's just the greatest country on the face of the planet. But my only point in bringing this up is to say, where do we go from here? Because the more time that people have to dig into all of these things that were presented, you're going to see stuff like this. You're going to find that that's not exactly true. In fact, when you look at Trump's comments, which the Daily Wire points out, they were quoting Trump, things he said like, we will begin moving them out day one. These aren't people. I don't want them in our country. They're animals. But Trump wasn't talking about, just the average illegal immigrant. Trump was talking about people who were part of the violent MS-13 gang. So the Democrat Party takes great liberty in applying terms and phrases that Trump never intended to be applied to this particular circumstance. And then to apply it, he meant it for the MS-13 gangs, which, by the way, is absolutely true. Evil, brutal, terrible human beings. But they don't want to even say that, because by acknowledging that, they're telling us that Trump is right in part by saying that there's some really bad people that come across our border. But the longer that we get past this convention, the political high from the Democrats begins to wear off. And they never had a high one to begin with. People weren't watching. Nothing substantive really happened. It was all a kind of an emotional tug, so to speak. You begin to see stories and things that they presented at the convention like this that are going to be picked apart because it's not going to be accurate. They're going to be misquoting Trump or misapplying what he said, or we're going to find out information like Bill Clinton was actually one that deported this individual at first, and the Obama administration flagged her for the deportation process. Secondly, you're going to find this stuff and this begin to crumble, and it's going to crumble because it's not real. As my six-year-old daughter actually pointed out to me last night when she asked that question. Quick time out. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Like what you hear on Todd's show? Why not get more by signing up for Todd's free Semi-Sweet Morsels of Truth newsletter? To subscribe, visit toddhuffshow.com/subscribe or text HUFF to 31996.
Ever wondered what shooting a real machine gun feels like? At Indie Trading Post, you can have an awesome and safe shooting experience in our family-friendly environment. Firing a weapon on full auto is something you will always remember. Schedule some range time today and let Indie Trading Post give you the real machine gun shooting experience. We guarantee you'll have a blast. Give us a call at 317-782-4867 or schedule your range time at fullautoindy.com.
Our word can't be diluted because we are taught that a promise is a commitment in which you always follow through. No ifs, ands, or buts. So every time you walk through Greg Hubler Chevrolet doors, you can count on the advice and expertise we provide you. Because when we make a promise, we keep it. Greg Hubler Chevrolet. Promise kept. Visit GregHublerChevy.com. Find new roads.
This is the sound of your typical do-it-yourselfer in completely over his head.
For heating, plumbing, and electrical done right. Call Mr. Quick. Call Mr. Quick. Dial the number, spell the word. For on time.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $200 back at $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freegee, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freegee, F-R-E-I-J-E, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freegee, owner and lead auctioneer at Freegee Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
I love my community, and I wanted to do more to make a difference with my hard-earned dollars. I wanted to make an impact and help shape our future and our county. So I gave money to the Community Foundation of Morgan County. More than just charitable giving, the money I donate is tracked and measured so every dollar is held accountable. It's a social return on your investment. Why don't you join me in donating at cfmconline.org? That's cfmconline.org. Philanthropy with measurable impact.
We all know having health insurance doesn't always equal health care. That's why at Freedom HealthWorks, we believe the key to maintaining good health is based on a straightforward, personal relationship with your physician. With our direct doctor-patient relationship model, we remove your healthcare middleman and replace him with transparent pricing and incentive to call your doctor at the first sign of illness. So if you're ready to experience real care from a doctor that really cares about you, go to freedomhealthworks.com and learn more about the benefits of our direct primary care model. Freedom HealthWorks. Be treated better.
The compassion of Christ compels us to stop what we're doing and seek that person out. I think as Jesus went, in that famous song I sang as a little kid was Zacchaeus, come down. Zacchaeus was in a tree and he wanted to engage with Jesus, but he just couldn't, and Jesus stopped and he went over to him. If we are going to live a life of compassion, the compassion of Christ, are we willing to stop and seek those who need a touch of compassion today?
Welcome back. So, talking here about what happens next. I mentioned earlier that there was some praise and adoration for Biden. This was, the speech of his life. Jonathan Karl said, that's absolutely insane. I don't know what, again, if we're speaking about these things in relative terms, Biden has never been the bar wasn't set high to begin with this stuff, and I'm not trying to be nitpicky or hateful, but this isn't his appeal. They knew this. That's why they're actually trying to spin it. Lisa Lehrer from the New York Times wants you to think that this actually worked out in Biden's favor. He could have that intimate setting. He's not a big showman on stage. He's not Trump, which we know. He needs to have these intimate settings where he can connect with people because, folks, Rahm tweeted, he cares more about you than you care about you. That's what we're supposed to believe. It's just silly, silly stuff. But there's not fawning going over, or people are not fawning over him in the radical left. How about that? In fact, I heard one person last night on ABC, the socialist on the panel, the open socialist on the panel, basically say that, Biden came across, she said, Biden came across a little angry. He smiled only twice when he mentioned Jill Biden and when he mentioned Kamala Harris. Maybe thinking about sniffing their hair for all we know. But this is how people on the left view this. They're not excited about this. I'm telling you, this is, they're going to build this up, and they have, to be some sort of great success story. But when the dust settles, there's going to be things that we find out about some of the things that were done and said at the convention, as we just pointed out last segment. Last segment we talked about, we shared how this family, where the mother was deported. The father, the 11-year-old daughter, lost her mother, who was deported to Mexico. Her father is a retired U.S. Marine. There's more to the story than that. Turns out there usually is, but all they want you to believe is Trump bad. Trump bad. But the problem is this didn't hit the mark with a lot of folks, and they still have to appease the Bernie voters. Now, don't ask me to explain this because my abilities to do this are limited, even though I do understand the left better than I care to admit sometimes. Back in 2016, I remember distinctly that there were people who they called in. We had an app at the time. I can't even think the name of the app at the moment. And you could take, we basically just said, hey, I'm curious if anyone out there is planning to be, is any Bernie supporter going to support Trump if Bernie doesn't win the nomination? And I had a fair number of responses. Maybe I should dig and see if I can find those. Now, don't ask me to explain that. Don't ask me to explain why someone who's embracing an open socialist will also pick Trump over Hillary, who's much closer to the socialist Bernie than Trump is, of course. But that's what they were going to do. And as I've thought about it, became obvious to me was that they were against whoever was there doing things the same way. If someone, they didn't want to vote for someone who they viewed as part of they wouldn't probably say it in this term, but someone who's part of the swamp or the establishment or maybe even the deep state. They didn't want someone who's been there. They wanted someone who was going to do things differently. They were tired of seeing the normal status quo in politics. And so they were prepared to make dramatic shifts in ideology, right? Between Bernie Sanders, the open Democratic, that's right, Democratic socialist, as though it suddenly makes a difference that you can take everyone's wealth and possessions because a majority of people say that you can do that. By adding Democratic to socialist, they make it think that that's some sort of a moral high ground. But so they would move from Bernie to Trump. And I find myself wondering how much of this is still possible to happen out there. Or will these socialist Bernie supporters simply not vote for Joe Biden? They're not happy. She said he came across a little angry, didn't smile. She said the only someone else up there said the best part of this was the intro video. And that is true. There was no substance in it, but I will say that it told a good story about Joe Biden, and it pulled out some feelings. It made people have feelings, for him, what he's gone through, to be empathetic, and it's bad. But those are not reasons to vote for a president. The problem is, for some people, those are reasons to vote for someone to be president of the United States. And so here we are. What next? Trump's going to go to the stage next week. It's been reported he's going to be out there every night, which I think is a great idea. And we're going to see something drastically different than this mismanaged production here. So, quick timeout, come back and hit maybe on a couple of other things here before we wrap up for the week. You are listening to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Listen to Todd's show on your way to work, but want to hear more? Don't miss a beat. Visit toddhuffshow.com/listen to catch the program anytime, anywhere.
Ever ask yourself, what does my business insurance actually cover? Well, at AIA and Avon, we think you deserve to know. AIA is focused on earning your trust. We've found that when we educate our clients and truly listen to them, they allow us to work alongside them to put together the insurance plan they need. Whether your business is big or small, give AIA a call, 317-718-1747, or find out what we can do for you at AIA4lowrates.com. Advertisement sponsored by Grange Insurance.
Hi, my name is John Swadner, Sales Director of the Todd Huff Show. As a listener of the program, you know the show is growing. 4 years ago, it began as a podcast in a closet. Today, it's a 2-hour show that airs during morning drive in Indy and in Utah, and we're just scratching the surface. Todd brought me on board to help the show and our advertisers grow. That's why I'm specifically looking for partners who are a good fit to advertise with us. Would that be you? To learn more about what advertising would look like and to determine if it's a good fit for your business, shoot me an email to john@toddhuffshow.com. And be sure to ask me about some of our special packages that will save you up to 40%. Email john@toddhuffshow.com. Shoot me an email today.
Wallace Construction is a family-owned business with 45 years' experience in asphalt, concrete, and seal coating. At Wallace Construction, our wide variety of experience and top-notch customer service have helped us build a strong reputation in central Indiana. But we don't rest on that reputation. We build it, one job at a time. If you have an upcoming project, call us at 317-422-5356. That's Wallace Construction, 317-422-5356, and ask for Richard or Roger.
When life is hard for the women you care about, there is help with issues such as widowhood, anxiety, depression, or abuse. They don't have to go through it alone. Peace Restored is there to walk with women through the journey. Peace Restored helps women through free mentoring, counseling, and education. When life is hard, Peace Restored is there to help women you care about find hope and healing. To learn more, visit peacerestored.net.
Geothermal tax credits are back, making this the perfect time to install a new Climate Master geothermal system. Take advantage of this limited time 26% tax credit and begin cutting your heating and cooling bills immediately. Visit indianageothermal.com/info to get your free Climate Master information kit or call 317-829-1490. Visit indianageothermal.com/info or call 317-829-1490. Geothermal, it's cheaper than you think.
Radon is an invisible, odorless gas that kills more people than drunk driving. In fact, radon is the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Is radon threatening the health of your family? Call Radon Environmental at 317-843-0804. Radon Environmental specializes in radon testing and mitigation. The process is quick, easy, and worth it. Radon Environmental wants to make sure your family's health is not at risk. Call 317-843-0804. Welcome back. Speaking of the RNC, the Republican National Convention next week, Martha McCallum, this was just published late yesterday evening, so this was last night on her program. She's interviewing Laura Trump, and they're talking about something that may become, well, it's going to be a factor in this campaign. It's been ignored by the media. It's been brushed over by the media. I just want you to listen to this exchange and envision at the end of this segment what they say, and just imagine, if you will, what would happen, what this could potentially look like. So here's this exchange.
FoxNews.com did an interview with Tara Reid, and she has obviously brought accusations against Joe Biden. Joe Biden himself has said that this never happened, but here's what she had to say.
They're pretending that they're the upholders of the Me Too, like a shield, but meanwhile, some of their main, Democratic elites, some of the main powerful people involved with the party are actually perpetrators themselves.
Do you think that there has been hypocrisy on that at the DNC?
Well, it certainly seems like there's a lot of hypocrisy because you take the vice presidential running mate now of Joe Biden, who not too long ago said that she believed this young woman, that she believed Tara Reid, she believed the accusers of men, and yet here she is signing up to be his running mate.
Yeah.
Either way, there is
Reid,
absolute hypocrisy, yes. I think most people would agree with that.
She said she would like to speak at the RNC next week, Tara Reid. She said she'd like some time there. Would your team offer it to her?
Well, I haven't spoken directly to her, but that certainly is a conversation that we could have. Absolutely, why not?
Absolutely, why not? So imagine this. So Tara Reid, who's been glossed over, ignored by the Me Too movement, by the media, by the Democrat Party. They'll tell you that this is just, and maybe, look, I am consistent on this. I don't know. We're talking about things that none of us can possibly know. We can have our instincts, we can make judgments, but we don't know. Tara Reid could be telling, I'm not saying this to delegitimize or attack her, but she could absolutely be telling the truth, or she could be telling something that didn't happen. We don't know. I don't want to assume that she is and, just treat her like, just be disrespectful to her, but I also don't know. And I'm not going to assume that someone did something based upon claims that someone else made in there's a political time, a political election. We don't know. But we also didn't look into it. That's the biggest problem here, is that there is a double standard. There is a hypocrisy. They only care about these things, the media, the Democrats, when it's hurting someone who they want to politically defeat. If it's their own people, they defend them. They ignore it. They tell us we've looked into that, there's nothing there. But imagine, can you imagine? I don't know if this will happen, but my oh my, can you imagine Tara Reid up there sharing her story, her allegations? Anyway, gotta take a break. Republican National Convention next week. Democrat National Convention finally over. Finally can move on past these shenanigans. Sit tight. We'll come back and wrap up for the week in just a second. See you in a few.
Is it possible to be a fan of the show if you don't have the gear to prove it? Why not be safe and remove all doubt? Shop for official merchandise at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
The printing industry has changed a lot since we opened for business in 1931, but what our clients expect from us really hasn't changed. Quality print, fast turnaround, and competitive prices. We've learned a lot at Moeller Printing over 86 years and 3 generations. Why not put that experience to work for you? Call 317-353-2224 and mention discount code RADIO to receive 10% off your first order. Call Moeller Printing at 317-353-2224.
If you own a rental property, you know the hassles of marketing, renting, collecting, and the handling of maintenance and repairs. One call to Zuluscape can put an end to your property management headaches. Zuluscape has over 20 years of experience helping landlords throughout central Indiana and taking the stress out of owning a rental. From A to Z, let Zuluscape handle it all so you can enjoy owning a rental instead of hating being a landlord. Give us a call at 317-663-8485 or visit our website at Zuluscape.com.
The compassion of Christ compels us to stop what we're doing and seek that person out. I think as Jesus went in that famous song I sang as a little kid was Zacchaeus, come down. Zacchaeus was in a tree and he wanted to engage with Jesus, but he just couldn't, and Jesus stopped and he went over to him. If we are going to live a life of compassion, the compassion of Christ, are we willing to stop and seek those who need a touch of compassion today?
Seems like just yesterday that you couldn't find a quiet place to think in your home. Now all the kids have flown the nest and you find yourself wondering what to do with all of that extra space. This is Bruce of Bruce Richardson Realty. My team and I understand that life changes, and so do your home needs. So whether you're downsizing or upsizing, give us a call at 317-507-3285. Let us help you find the best fit for your residential or your commercial property needs. 317-507-3285.
Our partner, Global Plasma Solutions, has published ionization testing results that demonstrate a 99.4% reduction rate on a SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 surface strain within 30 minutes. This is the first instance that an air purification company has effectively neutralized SARS-CoV-2. Commercial Service Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing is installing this solution in businesses and homes in South Central Indiana. Get your free information kit at commercialservice.com/info. Commercial Service, commercial-grade service for your home.
Anxiety, depression, relationship problems, past trauma. Problems rarely get better when given time. Care to Change Counseling can help. Our professionals combined evidence-based care models with scripture to get you on the path to a productive life. We are here to help you make the changes you need for a healthier, happier you. Take that brave step today. Call Care to Change at 317-790-9396 or visit caretochange.org.
Healthcare is expensive and complicated. Did you know that as a Christian business owner, it is possible to provide access to affordable health benefits for your employees? Remodel Health has helped employers across the United States save over $22 million in the past 3 years. Our innovative approach allows your employees to have the health benefits they need at a cost you can afford. Go to remodelhealth.com/Todd to help your employees find the health care they deserve. Remodel Health. Rethink employee health benefits.
So it is over. Nothing else to talk about regarding this convention, and we're going to compare and contrast this next week. What we're about to see from President Trump and the Republicans. I played last segment. I mean, again, I told Oz during the break, I think you can say that, we believe in innocent until proven guilty. I'm not saying Biden is guilty of the allegations made by Tara Reade, and I'm not saying she's lying. We don't know. That seems to me to be the only position that we should take at this point. We don't know. We do know that she's not been listened to. And so if Democrats can take an 11-year-old and make a video with her about the situation with her mother being deported, why can't Republicans, if they decide to give Tara Reade time to share her story, Why can't that happen? And also understand that we don't know. But it's a story that's not been told. It's not been investigated. There is no interest because the Democrats and the media, this goes against their narrative and it goes against what they want, which is a Biden victory in 2020. We can't let that happen, folks. I've got to go. Have a great weekend. SDG. See you Monday. Take care.
Hey, Indianapolis. By now, you've probably heard about Jody Dowdle with Midwest